Welcome back to Let's Talk Short Track Racing. Today I've got spotter Brett with us.
Hello.
Welcome. Straight off of Slinger Nationals last night.
Yes.
So from Slinger to Berlin, about a 5-hour drive it was?
Yeah, around 5 hours.
Not too bad. So we've made it to Berlin, as you can see behind us. So we've got the Supermod down there. They're getting it ready for Friday and Saturday's racing action. But I guess while we're here, we should kind of recap a little bit of our Slinger Nationals a little bit, and then obviously the overall show.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I mean, starting with us, I guess it wasn't for on Nick's side. It wasn't exactly what we were hoping it would have been. The car was a little bit off throughout the weekend. And then unfortunately in last practice, he tapped the wall a little bit and just decided it wasn't worth bringing it out for qualifying. Unfortunately, there were a few things bent that he didn't know how far things were bent. So decided to save the car for Auburndale here on August 2nd. And then Kendrick, he unfortunately didn't make it on original qualifying time, but he was able to race his way in the last chance race, which that was a really good race.
That was a good race. You know, he had some misfortune at the beginning getting spun out.
Yep.
He got a spot back. He battled there for 4 or 5 laps. And
It was a hard battle, too.
Yeah.
It was back and forth a lot.
Yeah, hard battle. You know, right there on the bubble, on the
Yep,
transfer
for
spot.
sure.
And probably 2 laps, he finally secured the spot, and we made it in.
Drove away with it a little bit. But towards the end, it looked like he was kind of having a little bit more battle. But yeah, so he made it in. We had a few issues right out qualifying. I forgot Kendrick had a little bit of an issue with water in the fuel cell.
Yes.
So the team thrashed and got the fuel cell drained and all the foam cleaned off and put it all back together before the last chance race. So that kind of may have played a little bit of a role in his qualifying times too, because the car shut off with 1 lap to go still in his qualifying run. So a little bit of and then he made it in and unfortunately was involved in an incident around lap 70.
Yes.
The car is not torn up too bad, but just, again, you got to know when it's time and kind of save it before it gets too bad. But, yeah, so it wasn't exactly the race we drove all the way from Lakeland up for, but, I mean, that's racing.
It's a learning experience, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We'll get it put back together and come back out swinging.
Yeah, but overall, it was a really good race. Ty Majeski kind of struggled all weekend.
Yeah. He struggled, and he was hot right out of the gate, and then started struggling. The second or third practice session, and Toby and him must have hit on something. And
from what I heard, it was something with the shocks. He was all night while we were at the dinner on day-wise lost, but I guess it was Monday night. They were thrashing on tires and stuff for the qualifying draw. He wasn't there. He was messing with, or not tires, messing with shocks. So they finally got that obviously squared away and a lot better for yesterday race day. But
he was definitely in his own zip code.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was a good battle going on with him and Austin Nason.
Yeah, that was, and I thought Nason might have had a little bit more for him at the end.
Right.
But I think Ty was just that hooked up.
Yes. And then, that rain break, we had about an hour, 10 minutes?
Something, yeah, for rain.
That changed the track condition. And,
yeah.
But Austin coming out, he did a great job. Ty did a great job.
Yeah.
They ran and battled clean, and
it was a really clean, good race for the most part. And then what about Derek Kraus? He had to race the last chance race also with us. And I think he's the one, he made the most out of I was shocked to see him in the last chance race because, that's a name you hear and you immediately think speed. And it just shows how tough it is also to qualify for the Slinger Nationals.
Yeah, Derek Thorne, he was the same way. He had to qualify in. We was right behind him on the transfer spot. So
yeah. So it was, but Derek came back to finish 4th overall. So it was a really strong night for him. Overall, it was a really
It was a great race to watch.
Yeah, it was cool. That was my first time being there, and it was cool to see. It's essentially for all us Florida people watching. It's kind of like a Auburndale, but sunk in it. It was really cool. Definitely a lot of speed, way faster than I was thinking for that small of a little bull ring.
Exactly. Yeah, it's Slinger is a great track to go to.
Yeah.
I love it.
And
Like you said, it's a bull ring.
yeah, it's fast. It's crazy how fast it is too.
Yes.
And you've spotted a lot there.
Yes. It's one of my favorite tracks to go to.
Really?
Yes.
What made so compare for drivers and stuff? What makes that so special? Is it the banking? Is it the history?
It's the history, all the big drivers that, was from around the area. You had the Dick Trickles going there to race. You had Mike Eddy, all the legendary people that was just, there racing, big left-hander,
yeah.
people that's up there.
It was, and the pits were full of like people. You had all the sponsors for everyone there.
Yes.
It was really cool. You had a lot of event sponsors there too, which
Yes.
you don't always see. A lot of people put their names on tracks and stuff and don't show up, but it was really cool to see all the sponsors and everyone out there.
Everybody came together, and from what I understand, it was maybe the new owner's first Slinger Nationals.
It was, yeah.
And it ran very smooth.
Yeah, it was. It was overall very smooth. And from what I hear, I've never been there before, but everyone was saying how it is the difference, that they can already see the difference because they just took it over. I think it was January?
I think so. I think that's
So beginning of the year, I think it was purchased in November, and then the official takeover was kind of that January area.
Yeah, and then they brought Ricky Brooks in with the UARA to kind of help oversee the nationals.
And Ricky, I mean, we all know he's a very well-known and very fair tech inspector.
Yes.
And I think that's the biggest thing that wherever he is, that's what you're hearing. I mean, I will say running through tech, he does not skimp on anything. Everything is teched to the nines, and
he's very
no
thorough.
matter who you are,
Exactly.
you're not getting away with it. If it's an eighth of an inch off, it's an eighth of an inch off, and they're coming around the next day and they're measuring it, which as it should be.
Yes, exactly. And a lot of people don't like it, but I love it.
I heard not a lot of complaints, but I did hear like people like, oh, he's nitpicky. Well, you've obviously never raced one of his races before,
Exactly.
but that's the way it should be.
Exactly. 100%.
That's the only way to keep short track racing fair.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
He's got a good program going, and we've done a couple of the UARA events going on. We're going to do a lot more of them.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, from starting off with the Rattler to where we are now, we see a lot more people joining the UARA series.
Yeah, and Ricky's definitely one of those guys. We've had him on several times, and he's definitely one that is a race director for the racers, not for himself.
He is definitely for the racers. That
and
is,
I think we need more of that.
Yes. And his whole crew. I mean, everybody that works with Ricky is just fabulous to work with.
Yeah, and so nice. They're very easy to get along with. They're very respectful people.
Yes.
Definitely racing any of his, and like with Grant this year, we've raced a few different series, and he's definitely an easy series to go back to because everyone in his series is so respectful.
Yes, absolutely.
But we are back at Berlin
for
the super modifieds this weekend. So we are going to go to a short break, and then right after the break, we'll be back to talk about we might have a special guest actually before we go to break, or we'll go to break and then we'll bring in our special guest. So we will be right back after these short messages.
Buying or selling a home? It's more than a transaction, it's a strategy. I'm Amy Lynn, and I bring clarity, confidence, and results to your real estate journey. Whether you're searching for the perfect place to call home or preparing to list your home for top dollar, I've got you covered. With smart marketing, strong negotiation, and a network you can trust, I don't just help clients close, I help them win. Let's make your next move the right one.
Race fans, get ready for one of the biggest weekends of the summer. The 4th annual Great Lakes Classic hits Berlin Raceway, July 11th and 12th, featuring the ISMA Super Modifieds, the fastest short track machines in the country. 2 nights, 1 legendary track, and when the racing ends, the party keeps going with live music after the races both nights. Don't miss it, July 11th and 12th at Berlin Raceway. Grab your tickets now at berlinraceway.com.
All right, welcome back to the Let's Talk Short Track Racing podcast. I am joined by Jeff Striegel, the GM here at Berlin Raceway. Welcome.
Hi, Erin. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Welcome back.
I know, it's been almost a year exactly. We were here for the Battle at Berlin last summer.
I know, and now you're back for the Super Modifieds,
Yes.
and your whole team is here already, Grant, and they got the Super Modified
Down
already
there.
unloaded, and it's going to be fun. I know you guys got 3 cars here,
Yeah.
2 Super Lates,
Yes.
Super Modified.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a big weekend.
I'm excited. This is my first time seeing Super Modifieds on the track. Officially, I've seen them. We've tested in Florida a little bit, but this is seeing a real race, my first time. So I'm extremely excited to see these complete monsters of cars.
Yeah, they absolutely are, and they've always been my favorite, and a lot of people recognize that because I think they see maybe a little extra effort, put in by me, maybe, from a personal level,
Mm-hmm.
trying to build this show. They were here, obviously they were here a long time ago. They ran back in the 60s here, John Benson Sr.,
Yeah.
who ran along with a number of other people, and then they ran here in the 90s. They ran here in 2010,
Yeah.
and then they went away. And when I started here, I made a phone call and said, we want you guys back.
Yeah.
And this will be the 4th annual, so looking forward to it.
That's super exciting. And back to a little bit more of your ties with the Super Modifieds. Where does that come from?
Passion, love for them, grew up. People my age, and we won't worry about how old that is, but people my age grew up with a monthly magazine called Circle Track Racing.
Yep.
And you thumb through Circle Track Racing, and you could see stock cars in the south, and you could see midgets and sprints out west running in Phoenix at Manzanita.
Mm-hmm.
And you could also see Super Modifieds at Oswego. And when I remember at a young age flipping through there and seeing a fold out of Gene Lee Gibson's car, and I was captivated. I'm like, I don't know what this thing is, but this is the most exotic, coolest thing I've ever seen. And I fell in love with them right there. After that, I started to go see them at Toledo. They were coming around here a little bit. And so that's where the love affair with that came from. And I've taken it maybe to the next level. I've never met a group of drivers associated with one organization better than this group.
Yeah.
More giving, more caring, fun, friendly, work together, share the common goal.
Yeah.
And I've been able to, and I'm glad because they're really good people, become friends with Mike McFetta and Ordway and Otto Sitterly and of course Grant Dormeyer. And I'm proud of that because they're really good people, and I feel like I would have missed out if I never got a chance to meet these people.
Yeah, it's not often that you get a series that can travel together, run together, and still get along most of the days.
Yeah.
On and off the track. So that's definitely a rare thing to come by. What is one thing that you're most passionate about during the weekend? You've made it into a 2-day show. What kind of made that decision for you to make it 2 days?
That's a really good question, and that's an easy one to answer. It's also a little self-centered. When I called ISMA on the phone, I said, we want to have you come back to Berlin Raceway. And they said, you know what, I think we'd love to come back to Berlin Raceway. But here's the deal. You'll have to get another track in the area to also run them so it makes it worth our while to run a 2-day show.
Mm-hmm.
I said, that's simple.
Yeah.
You're running here. I'm not going to let you
Go
somewhere else. And here's why. I mean, there's a reason for this.
Yeah.
If we go somewhere else on a Friday night, and heaven forbid, we break an engine, we wad up 3 of them in turn 1, I mean, there's not a ton of cars to be
Yeah,
had
especially it's a distance to race.
at this
Yeah.
distance. So if we hurt or wreck, 6 cars,
That's
I open the gates on Saturday morning and we've got 11, 12 cars sitting there. That is not what I want for our race fans here.
Yeah.
So I made it very clear that you'll run both nights here, which also resonated with the drivers because they knew when they left, let's say it's New York or Florida,
Yeah.
with you guys, you're coming to Berlin, you put your stakes in the ground. There's campers right outside there, as you can see.
Yeah.
They put their stakes in the ground. They know they're here for the weekend. They
Yeah.
don't have to race here on Friday, then go to that track or that track. So I just tried to make it easy for them and make it, better for
Your
us
fans.
and our fans here at the track.
Yeah. Fans can come camp, and I'm sure they do.
They do.
We were here for Berlin, and it was crazy how many RVs you have over here. But it's a fun weekend for everybody. And it's 50 laps on Friday and 75 Saturday.
40, 75.
Okay, so that's awesome. So it's kind of like you got the feel for the big main feature on Friday night. It's awesome to have both too, and for your reasoning of it makes it easy to fix the cars if God forbid something happens. It is racing.
Yeah, we wanted to separate them a little bit more. They were 40-60, and we wanted to give it more of a separation.
Yeah.
It's the Great Lakes Classic on Saturday.
On Saturday.
Friday is a 40-lap sprint shakedown race. Get it out there, feel it out, run it hard, come back in and go, okay, well that's not working. We need to do this and we need to do that. And then get that thing ready because on Saturday night it's 10 grand to win. We've elevated the purse for the drivers, 75 laps, which was also made easy because it's our 75th anniversary.
That makes sense. So is this the first year you're having the 75
Yeah,
laps?
we ran 60 the previous 3. So I'm kind of curious as to how that works for the teams and the drivers. They had to change fuel cells because they were literally running 60 laps and running dry.
Wow.
So they will have to have made some changes to adapt. And
Are there any pit stops or anything, or is it kind of like your typical late model race where you can come in under caution if need be?
that's a really good question. I think for a novice super modified fan, which by the way, you can watch the race Friday and Saturday if you're not here with a ticket.
Yeah.
You can watch it on Flow. If you have Flow, you can watch it on Flow. So what happens is when they start the race, they will start counting laps. Yellow, green, 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 yellow, yellow, yellow. They'll count them. At some point, there's a determination that is made, obviously through a calculation, that they will not have enough fuel to go the distance.
Okay.
So they will red flag the event at whatever point and allow all the teams to refuel.
Okay.
We had it, I think it was 2 years ago, we had a crash on like lap 6, and it took us a while to get things started. I think we spun them or we crashed them on lap 1, and we did it again on lap 6. Anyway, the point is we ran 25 multiple laps of caution. They stopped the race on lap 6 and refueled them.
New start.
And even though I was kind of understanding what was going on, I went over to the race director and went, what are we doing?
Wow.
We're refueling these cars on lap 6. And he's like, we will get all the way to the end of the race, but we would not have had enough fuel in most of these cars to get us to
And it
the.
allows it to become, for the fans especially, more of a racing race instead of a fuel mileage race.
Yeah.
Which most fans prefer it that way.
So to answer your question, that was long.
Yeah.
No, there are no pit stops.
Okay.
They
so
pit. More than likely, they're
due
done for
to
the
it.
night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That is, because it is a fast, I'm assuming, super fast. Do you know what times they run around here at Berlin?
Track record is a 13:021. Mike Ordway set that 2 years ago. How does that compare? Our super lates, your super late, in qualifying will more than likely run 16.
Okay.
That's
wow.
a super.
That's
A winged sprint car holds the all-time track record here. A guy by the name of Brian Gerster out of Indiana. He set the track record at 12.5, flat out, wide open all the way around the racetrack. Never lifted. And I can tell you that the super guys, as I like to call them,
yeah.
they don't want to lift. and they can get all the way around this racetrack until they get to right here. We're just sitting right above turn number 4. And you can hear them wide open, coming to take the green. They're wide open off of 4. They're wide open through 1, 2, down the back straightaway. You can hear they're not lifting going into 3. And then you get about right there and you're thinking, this could be a track record. And all of a sudden you just hear them bail out of the throttle because they're right on this wall right here.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that if anybody can actually nail turn 4 without lifting, we could see an all-time track record. And we would certainly see a super modified track record. In Ordway, Tyler Schulich, Otto Sitterly, they all want it. They're all
going to be trying for it Friday and Saturday.
Well, what they don't know, I think we had, and I just don't quote me, but we had fast time as $250. That has been elevated to $750. The track record was worth $500. I had a guy call me today and go, I got $1,000 and I want to go on top. So fast time is going to be $750, and a track record is worth $1,500. That is decent money.
That is, that's enough for them to. I'm very excited to see them in person. Do you remember your first time seeing the super modifieds? Where were you, and what was the adrenaline like?
Well, the first time I ever saw super modifieds would have been in 1982 or 83, South Bend Motor Speedway, quarter-mile racetrack. Had no clue they ran super modifieds on a quarter-mile racetrack, but they do. Some people that are watching will know the name Willie Stutzman. You may not. He's Willie Stutzman, and there was a super modified that they called Casper the Ghost that had a little ghost on the wing and eyeballs that lit up. But
that's cool.
I was racing down there. They were racing down there at the same time. In fact, well, it doesn't matter. But I was going to say we were actually as fast as they were. But that was the first time that I ever saw them in person. Fell in love with them again. Then it was Kalamazoo ran them, Berlin ran them. Then I started going to watch them at Sandusky.
Okay.
And I think most people that know me know I've never been to Oswego. That is a bucket list for me. And we're thinking, my wife and I are, that we might go to Classic weekend and take in the Classic. It's on Labor Day weekend, so we just got to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
I've never been to Oswego, and for those of you from New York that are watching, because you know we're going to talk about super modifieds, never been, but I can't wait to go there and see it firsthand and all of their supers.
Yes, that is definitely a bucket list, and I've heard so much about Oswego too, and the Classic and everything.
They ran super modifieds, and I used to go to, believe it or not, and you may not know this, they ran super modifieds at the Phoenix Raceway.
Oh, wow.
On the 1 mile racetrack. Now, back then, they were mostly West Coast supers.
Okay.
But Bentley Warren, Pat Abel from the East Coast would go. But it was hard to beat a West Coast super modified that looked like an Indy car with a wing. And I remember sitting there watching one of the cars qualify, set the track record. True story. That time by that super modified would have qualified him 8th in that year's Indy race.
Wow.
I mean, you watched him go around the racetrack. They're running 160 plus miles an hour, and you're just, and they're open wheels just like Indy cars.
Yeah.
But these guys are not used to running that fast on that big of a racetrack. But wow, what a show they put on.
Yeah. So for comparison, about what mile per hour are they running here?
125 average.
Okay.
And right at roughly just shy of 140 before they start to, lay that car over on the right rear when they come off the end of the back straightaway.
Okay. Wow. So
Yeah.
they are definitely hauling the mail here.
All wonderful.
If we get a little moisture in the air, and we're supposed to have, high humidity. One of the things that's super cool is those wings lay down, as you know. I know he's out of the frame shot.
Yeah, he's hiding.
He is hiding. But when those wings lay down to go down the back straightaway, they create the vapor trail or the contrail like you see in an
I've
airplane.
seen pictures of that a little bit.
I've got a picture. I took a picture 2 or 3 years ago of Ordway doing that down the back straightaway. And if we get, the heavy humidity like they're talking about,
Yeah.
when we go single car qualifying down the back straightaway, you're going to see that vapor trail off those wings. And it's just one of those things that's unique and very cool to supermodified.
Yeah, and that's visible to the
Oh yeah,
eye,
you can
too?
see it all the way up from here.
Wow.
You'll clearly
That's-
see it.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
a really cool fun fact that I had no idea. Well, I've seen the pictures, but I didn't know how
Yeah.
that it was just the air.
Mhm.
Figured it was actual moisture from the day.
Same thing that we see, when an airplane goes
Yeah.
by, those are contrails off the wing.
Yeah,
It's going to be here, but it's still the same.
science behind it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah.
We can't wait for the show Friday.
You know who this is going to be? This is going to be Grant.
That we've
It's-
been joking about that.
It's going to be Grant. It is Grant. Why does he
Guys.
knows I'm on with you?
Why isn't he watching?
I don't know. Grant.
Grant, we're gonna have to have a talk.
I'm gonna get on and look at that super modified of
Yes.
yours again, and I appreciate you guys being here. And I'll just say this for fans, certainly any of the competitors' families that are watching, super appreciative of the effort people make to come to Berlin Raceway. You guys out of Florida, we've got a team down there that rolled in today. That's out of Canyon City, Colorado.
Wow.
Mike Ordway's out of Maine. Pat Abel, Jeff Abel, as an example, that I promise I'll be done.
You're fine.
Those guys have to work on Friday. They can't be here on Friday. They called, they told me, they said, we're shutting the shop down at 6 o'clock Friday night. Trailer will be loaded, it'll be hooked up. We are hauling all the way over. We'll be on your property Saturday morning so we can run the classic.
Wow. And that's
It's like, you know what, dude? I'm going to be down there when you pull in just to shake your hand and, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
We got them from all over, and
that's a testament to what you've done at the place
Right.
and everything that you're doing to make this, like you said, a 2-day show, and not just for yourself, but for the drivers.
I try,
And they
and
definitely, as shown by coming from Florida and coming from Maine, everywhere, they definitely appreciate it, and we appreciate everything you've done for them. I can't wait to keep coming, not just the super late models and everything that you put on.
well, Erin, I appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you. Glad you guys are here, and if there's anything for you,
Yeah.
just ask.
Yeah, thank you. I'm back live after just a few short messages.
Race fans, get ready for one of the biggest weekends of the summer. The 4th annual Great Lakes Classic hits Berlin Raceway July 11th and 12th, featuring the ISMA Super Modifieds, the fastest short track machines in the country. 2 nights, 1 legendary track, and when the racing ends, the party keeps going with live music after the races both nights. Don't miss it July 11th and 12th at Berlin Raceway. Grab your tickets now at berlinraceway.com.
Buying or selling a home? It's more than a transaction, it's a strategy. I'm Amy Lynn, and I bring clarity, confidence, and results to your real estate journey. Whether you're searching for the perfect place to call home or preparing to list your home for top dollar, I've got you covered. With smart marketing, strong negotiation, and a network you can trust, I don't just help clients close, I help them win. Let's make your next move the right one.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Short Track Racing, live here from Berlin Raceway. That was an awesome little interview we had with Jeff. Great hearing about his love for the super modifieds, and hearing why he brought them back here to Berlin, because they were gone for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff's done so much to Berlin that it's unreal. And then, he's got all these, sponsors and contingency people that's putting up all this money, new track record.
I've not heard really of
Yeah.
a track record a bet on track record and
Right.
money on track
Right.
record. So that's really something cool that they're doing
Yeah.
here at Berlin to
Yep.
kind of make their drivers want it even more than, I mean, drivers, we know, they have the pride. They want
Right.
to be
They
that.
want it.
We hold the track record here.
Yep.
But to have a little bit of cash in your pocket after doing it, it helps.
Right. Absolutely.
That's going to give them that little bit of edge to really push for it. Like he said, coming off of turn 4 right
Yeah.
here. Be watching for it Friday and Saturday night during qualifying sessions. And I found it interesting that, for the 75 lapper, they had to expand their fuel cell,
Right.
and they still, with the new fuel cell, may not have enough fuel to go
Right.
all the way.
Yep.
So that's going to be really cool, a kind of cool storyline to watch. And it sounds like it's not like we know when that red flag's going to be.
Right.
Could it help or hurt drivers? It'll be interesting to kind of see how that
Absolutely.
plays out as like kind of a strategy, even though you can't really do anything else to the cars.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be a good weekend. And, like Jeff said, if you can't be here in person, you can catch it live on Flow.
Yeah,
It's
and
gonna be
they
good
have
too.
awesome prices. Speaking
Oh,
of
yes.
it, for both Friday and Saturday night, it is only $17 to get in, and kids 15 and under can get in for free. So the whole family can come.
Yeah.
Very reasonably priced. They've got great food, great drinks, and even after the races, the show's not over. They have live music
Yeah.
on Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely.
As we were coming up here to do the podcast, they even had a little bit of live music. They've got some kids down there on the track now, so they have live music for their family and stuff.
Little
Already,
games to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great facility.
it's
Come check it
definitely like he was saying, a bucket list to come here too. Not just going to Oswego to see super modifieds. Berlin is definitely becoming one of those must do. Even if it's not super modifieds this weekend, they have the Battle at Berlin coming up in August.
Yeah.
So that's
We come from Florida up here.
yeah.
That's one of the reasons why.
Yeah, definitely a great facility they have and great shows they put on, and all the employees are very pleasant and very welcoming.
Yes, very.
But so yeah, we've got that coming up, and other than that, the supers are here. Other than that, we will have be racing in Auburndale is the next UARA race. So that's the next big one. But I think other than that, that's about it for tonight's show. We're very excited to get on track with the super modified. We've got Kenyon here, and it sounds like they're gonna have a really good field of cars here. So I'm excited to watch them and see them for the first time and get on track here,
Yep.
both with all three cars on Friday.
Yep, it's going to be a great show.
All right, well, that is it for tonight's episode of Let's Talk Short Track Racing, and we will be back next week.
Race fans, get ready for one of the biggest weekends of the summer. The 4th annual Great Lakes Classic hits Berlin Raceway, July 11th and 12th. Featuring the ISMA Super Modifieds, the fastest short track machines in the country. 2 nights, 1 legendary track. And when the racing ends, the party keeps going with live music after the races both nights. Don't miss it July 11th and 12th at Berlin Raceway. Grab your tickets now at berlinraceway.com.
Buying or selling a home? It's more than a transaction, it's a strategy. I'm Amy Lynn, and I bring clarity, confidence, and results to your real estate journey. Whether you're searching for the perfect place to call home or preparing to list your home for top dollar, I've got you covered. With smart marketing, strong negotiation, and a network you can trust, I don't just help clients close, I help them win. Let's make your next move the right one.